Hello and welcome to the Lost and Stupidity Podcast. I'm your host, Turner the Burner. I'm joined by Chris the Boz Bozeman, and today we have a very special guest in studio. We have Coach Marcus Boyles. He has been a athletic director, head football coach. He has won state championships in 3 different classifications. He is one of the winningest coaches in the state of Mississippi. He is a husband, father, grandfather, and I'm glad to call him a friend. Coach, how you doing this morning?
I'm doing great this morning.
Good deal, good deal. Well, right out of the gate, so for the audience, Coach, how long have you been coaching, and how did you get started in coaching?
Okay, I've been coaching, that's a great question, around 32 years, because I retired, did some other stuff for a couple of years, so you kind of put me on the spot with that one, but it's around 32 years. How I got into coaching, just like growing up in a small town in Raleigh, Mississippi. Had 7 other cousins about my age, and we all, whatever season it was, that's what we played. If it was football season, hey, we played football. If it was basketball, we played basketball, and baseball, we played baseball. And so it was just something all year round, us just being boys, and just that. And also, my mom and dad were both educators. My dad was a former coach before he got into administration, and following him also. I think that's just those combinations of things that kind of led me into coaching.
Sure. So were you, did you move out of high school sports right into coaching, or did you work, were you like a general assistant in college, or?
Well, it's kind of a weird thing there. I went to Jones for 2 years and played football at Jones, and I was in pre-pharmacy at Jones. And so after my second year at Jones, I got accepted to the pharmacy program at Ole Miss. Went up there for 1 semester and realized real quick that this was not for me. My mom and dad had discouraged me from going into education. They just encouraged me to try something else. I had an uncle that was a pharmacist, so I said, hey, I'll do that. And I love science, still love it. And in fact, my degree is biology. But anyway, after 1 semester at Ole Miss, I realized, hey, this is not for me. So I kind of dropped out of school, took a couple of night classes, worked at Georgia Pacific at night in Taylorsville. Did
yes, sir.
For 1 semester and 1 summer. And during that time, my mom and dad said, hey, you got to go back to school. So if you want to go into education, that's fine. What they didn't realize was I was going back to school because working at Georgia Pacific, the graveyard shift, 5 nights a week.
Oh, that sounds like a good time.
Yeah, I realized real quick, hey, I better get an education. And so went to Southern Miss, got a degree in biology, and went the teaching route. And, like that's the thing, I never took a class. I don't even have a minor in PE. I mean, my degree is biology.
Wow.
And so, kind of got into, did it that way, got a job at Florence High School, and then kind of the rest is kind of history.
That is interesting, Coach. I did not realize that. And I worked for Georgia Pacific in New Augusta for 6 years. So I'm very familiar with the graveyard shift, and I don't blame you.
Yep. Yeah, I've heard the horror stories.
I had worked it. They had a college program when I was in college. When I was at Jones in the summer, they let you come clean the plywood, the glue line.
Yes, sir.
So I kind of got that. And then my dad had been a principal and was a superintendent in Smith County, which is where Taylorsville is at. And so he had connections, so he got me a job at, once I kind of left Ole Miss, he got me that job at Taylorsville. And it was, hey, it taught me a lot. It really did. And taught me one thing, I need to go get education. I didn't want to work like that the rest of my life.
Yes, sir.
But it was a good experience. It really was. And I think kind of shaped me to who I am today. Honestly.
Absolutely. Well, Coach, you, like I said, you've been coaching around 32 years now. I know for me, just in the last 10 years, the game of football has changed so much. The rules, the doing away with 2-a-days. How have you, I think you have done a good job adapting. I mean, just the fact that you have been successful as long as you have. Go through, what are some of the challenges? How have you been able to learn and adapt and change with the game of football? Because I see I see coaches at Division I colleges and in the pros that they have been very successful throughout their career, and they just can't adjust to this new age of football, and it eventually catches up with them. How have you been able to kind of roll with the punches as the game of football evolves?
I think just you have to be a student of this game, and you have to continuously study this game and try to learn, and you can't be so stuck in your ways to think this is the only way to do things. And so you have to understand that some of these changes are very positive. Some of these are, I would say, hey, I think two-a-days, man, I wish we still had two-a-days. I think you have to be smart with it. I understand, but I still think the two-a-days is a mental grind on kids that I think myself is important. I think it teaches, boys how to become young men, how to work when things are tough. Just like I'm going to use myself as an example, working at Georgia Pacific. That was a mental grind, a physical grind, because every day you had to get up, you went to work. For me, it was at that time, the graveyard shift was 10 o'clock at night to 7 o'clock the next morning. Okay. And you did it over and over and over every day. And you had to work every weekend, because that's how we did it. And, so I always thought, man, here the people that work the day shift, they work Monday through Friday. Those of us that work the worst shift, we have to work on the weekends. But I think because of two-a-days, it taught me to be tougher, not just physically, but mentally also. And I think that helped. And so I think there are some things, that we've done away with that could help kids. But I think the big thing, though, is just being a student of the game and continuously learning. Used to, when I played, man, you didn't get water. You got one water break. Well, now we realize, hey, water is not a weakness. It's actually a smart thing to get.
Absolutely.
Much water as they want. So some things are just positive, so when you look at that, hey, give them water. That's great. We need to. We used to do the salt taps. I said, oh, thank goodness we don't do salt taps anymore.
Right.
But then when you get into the game, the strategy of the game, growing up when I first started, man, we were in I. We will have a tight end. We will be under center, and we will run, the triple option. Okay, well, we just slowly evolved as we learned more about it, and I think it's made the game a lot more exciting.
Sure.
You go out there, you throw the ball, 20, 25 times a game. I mean, that's what kids want to do. They want to throw the ball. They want to catch the ball and certainly want to be able to run the ball. So I think it's just being smart and understanding that some of this is actually better for the game. And you have to adapt. You can't be, so hard-headed. I can't go back to the way I coached in the 90s, get back under center, get in the eye, and run the triple option. Now, that is still, I love that because I was a fullback. We don't even have fullbacks in the
game
anymore, So I love that part of it, but I have to understand, hey, that's not what our kids want to do. And so I think it's just, going out there. But if you know anything about the way I coach, we're going to run the football. So, yeah, we're going to be in a spread offense, but we're still going to try to find ways to run the football. So, yes, you just have to adapt. If you don't adapt, you'll get left behind. And that's really turning in any profession, every
Absolutely.
Profession is changed. And, if you don't adapt, then you go get behind.
Absolutely. And I agree with you 100%. Some of the things we've changed, like you said, it has opened up the game and made it more entertaining and more, what's the word I'm looking for? More appealing to kids. And that's what you need, whatever you're talking about. You need to have the youth involved if you want something to be successful and to continue, whether that's football or hunting or whatever.
Right.
And with that, I agree with you, the two-a-days, not just the mental toughness, which I agree 100%. It's kind of like going into a fight. It's way more damaging to never practice taking a punch and then go get into the fight and then, oh, now I'm hurt. Versus, okay, no, I've been taking punches for a couple of months now. I know what I'm going into.
Right.
To me, that's safer, and because football is not a contact sport; it is a collision sport. But
exactly.
Well, Coach,
You're right.
tell me a little bit, because you, for those who don't know, Coach actually teaching Sunday school at my church, and to me, it's still Sunday school. I'm old fashioned, whatever it's called today, small group or whatever.
Group, yeah, there you go.
Coach, tell us a little bit about your testimony, and that it's kind of a daunting task for men today. I notice men in our generation, we have trouble. We had a generation of men that had trouble speaking up in church. We had a generation of men of, well, mama made sure everybody got to church. Mama made sure everybody was dressed and went to Sunday school. Talk a little bit about that. Has it always been easy for you as a coach to get up and teach, or is that something that you had to kind of learn how to do and lean into?
You know, it's kind of, I'm an introvert, and a lot of people don't know that. Okay, I really am, but because of my role as a teacher and a coach, it's kind of brought me out. But when I walk into a room of people that I really don't know, you're going to see me standing off to one side. That's just who I am. Okay. Now, once I get comfortable, I'm fine, but I'm kind of an introvert. I'm not the life of the party. Okay. I'm not that guy. And so it just, being a teacher and being a coach and then also being the AT has brought me out of that shell, so to speak. And so, but getting to my testimony, yeah, you know, I'm from a divorced family, and you know, obviously lived with my mom most of the time. You know, went to visit, you know, had visitations from my dad, obviously on the weekends and in the summer and all that. And my mom was kind of the obviously being in a single family, was a spiritual leader, and she is a strong woman of faith. And I think she developed that in me, and so just always been a Christian, and just I see. And I think as I got more into the head coaching role and as I got older, I think, you know, I hate to say this, but as a young coach, it was all about wins and losses. You know,
sure.
It's all about winning. It's all about losing and trying to win championships and all that. And then as you get older, you realize, hey, man, there's a lot more to this. Yeah, you still got to win more than you lose, or you'll get fired. So you want to keep your
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You know, so let's go on and throw that out there. You know, we got to win. And then I think any coach that's worth his salt is go tell you, man, they are a competitor at heart. They hate losing, and I'm that guy. I hate losing, and so I also want to win. But with that, you understand that you have a greater responsibility to these young men, to these young boys, really, to develop them into young men. And for me, part of that is trying to guide them to come to know Christ. You know, obviously we don't push our faith on them at all. You know, we have kids. You know, I coach kids that you know, that were Christians. I've coached kids that were of different faiths. I've coached kids that are of no faith. And I tell them up front, man, hey, you know, we do devotion, and it is optional. And if a kid doesn't just feel like this is not who I am, I don't want to come, then this is optional. He does not have to come. We don't force it on him, because that's the worst thing you can do on a 15-year-old boy, is force something on him.
Absolutely.
Do something
Absolutely. Yeah.
against, okay. And, but, you know, they know where I stand, and I think that's important, that they do know where I stand. And in this day and age, you know, when you look at our coaches, most of our coaches are married. They have, you know, with kids, and I want our kids to see what it looks like for a man to be the leader of the house, because they don't have that anymore. So many of our are from single home families, just like I was. Okay, but now I had a relationship with my dad. Thank goodness. A lot of our kids don't even have a relationship with their dad. Their dad is not in the picture. And so I want them to see, hey, what does it look like to be a husband and a father and a man of faith? You know, what does it look like? And now they've got a good example. Now, are we perfect examples? Heck no. You know, we make mistakes. And that's another thing. What I've noticed with our young people is, and a lot of times we'll be talking to them, and they say, Coach, I can't be a Christian. I can't get saved right now. I said, why? Well, Coach, I'm not perfect. I still, you know, do this, or this. I said, man, hey, look, even when you get saved, you're still going to sin. Okay.
Amen.
So you're not going to be perfect. And I think it's understandable. I think they need to see us when we fail and how we react to when we do fail, you know, whether it's something you say or how you say something or whatever, and let them know, I mean, I shouldn't have said that way. I should have said it a different way. You know, I shouldn't have got on to you quite like that. and tell them, and let them see what it means to apologize to someone, because they don't have that. They don't see that.
Right. It doesn't make you weak
no, that's
to
right.
feel that,
and let them, man. Yeah, I tell our kids all the time, and I love, and a lot of them never had a man tell them that, so I think that's important. And then kind of the Sunday school part of it is just kind of when I was at Wayne County High School coaching there, I got asked to teach a Sunday school class, and I was scared to death. It's so funny. I'd always taught school because I taught biology and a lot of other things in science, and that was one thing. But man, to get up, I realized then to get up in front of a class and teach out of the Bible, man, that is intimidating. It scares me to death every Sunday to do that, because I can say something wrong in biology class, and hey, that's okay. It's
right,
okay.
right.
Yeah, I say something wrong in that Sunday school class, and man, that's we're talking about somebody's salvation.
That's right.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That is scary. And then at Petal High, at Petal High, where we're at now, Brother Dusty, our pastor, and his wife used to be in my Sunday school class until she started teaching. And so you're talking about it intimidating.
I can imagine.
You just listen to your pastor, and all of a sudden he's in your Sunday school class listening to you. So
yes, sir.
Nothing more intimidating.
Oh, definitely. That'd be like talking about coaching in front of Bear Bryant or Nick Saban or someone.
Right, absolutely.
Like, what am I going to teach you? What am I going to tell you?
all our LSU listeners just left the podcast right there. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah. You're exactly right. So I admit, yeah. So whoever your great coach is, you respect, man. Just it'd be like that. But I enjoy teaching Sunday school, and I tell you why. Because I learn more about the Bible when I teach Sunday school than I did when I'm sitting out there. And y'all know that.
Absolutely.
Learn by doing. Whatever hobby it is, whatever your craft is, whatever you can study books. You can, we got all these different ways to learn now. You can do all that, but once you get in it and get your hands dirty, that's when you figure out how something works.
Absolutely. And I'm glad you said that, because just for me and my walk with Christ, I've been doing the YouTube thing for about 3 years now. We just launched the podcast, and I've released some Bible studies and devotionals on the YouTube channel, and getting geared up to try to teach somebody, and that fear, like you said, of this is a serious deal. I've got to make sure what I'm saying is correct. That challenges you to get in the Word more and to make sure, you know what you're talking about. Do I believe what I say I believe? So it's a great learning to teach, and getting up in front of somebody and facing that fear is a great, like you said, you yourself learn more than if you were just sitting out there listening to it.
Sure. And you should feel reverent, when you have the chance to proclaim the gospel, or you have the chance to teach like that. You should have some nerves. You should be like, God, am I making sure that I'm saying this right? Like I'm making sure I'm not putting my own spin on this, and I'm actually repeating your word, what you said to these people. There's a certain reverence that comes from that.
And
certainly
good stuff, Coach. I'm going to, I've had the opportunity to call several coaches friend. For those who don't know, Coach Boyles gave me my opportunity to do a bit of volunteer coaching at Petal Middle School, and I met a lot of great guys, a lot of great coaches there that I'm friends with. So I'm walking a weird line today of knowing what coaches hate, and then also being a bit of a journalist. So, Coach, I'm gonna ask you the question I know every coach hates. How you feeling about this upcoming season? How you feeling about the team, and what's your outlook for this year?
It's kind of different. Yes, typically I would hate that question, but I think we have a chance, and I know everybody says that doesn't sound like you, but I think we have a chance to have a good football team this year. I think with the experience that we got last year, and so many of those guys back, I think we have a chance to really have a good team. I really do. I think now, with that being said, There's certain things that, got to happen. The injury bug can't hit us.
Absolutely.
We got to remain hungry. We were hungry last year. They wanted that group last year, especially that senior group, man. They wanted to get this program turned back around. They wanted to get back in the playoffs and all of that. And so we did. And so, we can't be complacent. And I know, well, you didn't really do a whole lot. Well, I agree, we didn't, and not to what we expect. But for those kids, and we got in the playoffs. We won a game in the playoffs, and so, but that can't be our end goal. And so I think for us, the complacency, we can't, and I haven't seen it. I think also just staying healthy, especially at certain positions. You know that. I mean, we may have 3 right guards. We're okay there, but we only have 1 left tackle. And so if that left tackle goes down, oh my gosh, we're in trouble. Whereas with the right guard goes down, we got a quality backup.
Right,
so
right.
Certain positions, we got to stay healthy. And anybody's like that. And then, there's got to be some luck along the way. In our district, with, you got Oak Grove and Brandon and Northwest Rankin and Meridian and Pearl. Man, you just, you've got to, the ball's got to bounce your way a couple of times, because this is the thing, those teams are good, they're well coached, and so they're not going to beat themselves, and so I think, we got to stay hungry. And, I think that sometimes the thing we're kind of fighting right now, honestly, in this day and age, I think other coaches talk to them, is a little bit of selfishness. Okay, so we're fighting that with our kids a little bit, and it's just these kids want scholarship, and it's just the society we live in. They want to be selfish. It's about me, and so we're having to constantly preach to our guys, hey, yeah, man, I want you to get a scholarship, but you got to understand the most important thing I care about right now is Petal High School football. I don't care about university or this junior college. I really don't care. Okay, I'm gonna help you get there best I can. My job is not to get you to, Pearl River Community College or Southern Mississippi. My job is to get you to be the best football player you can at Petal High School, and the rest to take care of yourself. And they don't see that, because when you turn on the news, man, all they see is, hey, I need more money for this, I need more money for that.
Absolutely.
And I mean, you see teams jumping from one college to the next college, and it's not even about the wins and losses anymore. It's about the NIL money, and but hey, let's don't get on kids too much, because we see coaches doing the same thing.
Well said,
anyway,
Coach.
I kind of got off on some other stuff.
No, good. No, good stuff. No, and you're exactly right. It's all about setting an example, and when that's the example you set as a coach, and that's the example on social media, I mean, what do you expect? Young men are going to, whether they intentionally do it or not, they are going to mirror and copy and imitate those around them, the leaders around them, those that have come before. So, what do you expect? And I'm glad you mentioned that about we have a problem with being selfish, and I'm also going to reference something you said earlier about you don't force a devotion on anybody. You've coached people of different, whatever. And we talk on this podcast. I'm of the mindset. My job first is we're going to entertain you. Now, we are followers of Christ, and we don't apologize for that. We don't hide that. But this is not a Bible study. This is not a church podcast. Our first job, we're going to entertain you, and then once we've entertained you and you've got to know us, to me, we've earned the right then to share our faith with you. And we need more of that. We need more things like football. That's why football and sports in general is so great, is because you have that melting pot. You have all these different kids from different backgrounds and different families and maybe even different beliefs. And it gives you a common goal, and it teaches you how to work together. And in doing that and setting a good example, you can combat that selfishness as you reference.
Right. Yeah.
Well, Coach, Let's see here. I know you're an avid outdoorsman, as are we. How you feeling about deer season this year? You excited to get in the woods?
I'm excited. Yeah, I tell people all the time I have two hobbies. One's coaching football. I get paid for that. The other's hunting. And man, I love that. I just love being in the woods, and I really deer hunt is what I do. I do a little turkey hunt. I would not consider myself a turkey hunter, okay, but I do enjoy deer hunting, and I enjoy everything about it. I enjoy the bush hogging, the spraying of the food plots, the disking, the planting of the food plots. I enjoy all of that. And then, of course, I just enjoy deer hunting. I just enjoy just being out in the woods where, it's quiet and just, nothing like a sunrise or a sunset for sure. And so I just, and then if I get to kill something, hey, that's great. I just, but for me, I love everything about it. It's kind of like football. A lot of coaches just love them. As you get older, I just like the games. They're like, man, I love everything. I love the off season. I love being in the weight room. I love the practices. I love all of that. And I think I realized that when I retired and left to go to a different job and came back, I realized, man, that's what I miss. I miss being in the weight room with those kids. So anyway, I love hunting and love everything about it. I really do. So a lot of people don't like to work those in. I enjoy that. Again, you get on that tractor and you're disking or bush hogging, I've noticed that nobody ever flags you down when you're on a tractor. Because they're afraid you may put them on that tractor to go to work.
Yes, sir. No, absolutely. I agree 100%. The process, that's the enjoyment. And I think that's really with anything. And you don't realize that it comes with age. It comes with years. And I'm learning that as I get older. It's the process. It's the kind of mundane things that are kind of peaceful. That's where the joy comes. All the preparation and, like you said, the bush hog and the spraying. Like I said, that's where a lot of the enjoyment comes from. And if you get to kill something, that's just kind of a bonus. That's icing on the cake.
Yeah. Definitely.
But, well, Coach, I appreciate you so much. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to come on this podcast. We've certainly enjoyed the interview. So maybe we'll have to get you on again sometime. And good.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I've enjoyed it. And, you got to talk about football and faith and hunting, man. Hey, what better things can you talk about?
Absolutely.
I hear that.
All right, Coach. Well, good luck this season. And thank everyone for listening today. I am Turner, and we've got Chris here as well. So thank Coach Boyles again. And catch us on the next episode of the Lost in Stupidity podcast.